Good afternoon on this amazingly beautiful Friday. It's the end of a week, another great week, and I am back, y'all. Um, After 3 long years, I finally finished my graduate degree, and so now I'm just waiting for grades to post and to officially have my master's degree official. So I am back. I am ready to pour back into you guys. And so today, what I really wanted to do was I wanted to kind of help other people, possibly in a similar situation as me. You just find yourself just going with the flow. You just find yourself just trying to get through the day. And so today, my goal is to kind of help you guys go from surviving to thriving and building the life that you were meant to lead and the life that you want. Every day, it's a work in progress to get us closer to where we want to be. Nobody in life wants to just survive because that is not living. I promise you that's not living. And, there's going to be times where it's going to be ebbs and flows of life because that's life. There's going to be times when things are just smooth, cool. It's where we want it to be. And then there's going to be times where we feel like we're surviving. And that's sort of what I was in sort of the last 3 years with working full time, an hour from my house. Full-time graduate student, mom to 5 kiddos, a wife, in church. And so there was just a lot of things going on. So I was just trying to make it through the day. And now I'm at a point where I'm going to be thriving and not just surviving to make it through. And so I'm going to be talking about 5 different points today on how you can get from just surviving to thriving. And so number one is, what does surviving look like? Because there was a point in time when I did not realize that I was just surviving. I just didn't. Because, it's everyday life. We just go through life. We just go through the motions and you don't realize that we're not actually living. So what does just surviving look like? And everybody's situation could be slightly different because our lives are different. So just surviving can look like you're on autopilot every day. And what that means is, for me, I was waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting ready, going to work, driving an hour to work, working my 8 hours, driving home, coming home, going to class, being in class for 2 hours. And that was just my everyday life, Monday through Friday. That's just what I did. I had the same routine every single day, did the same thing, and didn't really realize I was on autopilot. I was just doing things because I knew that's what I did. And it could look like surviving is just, you're constantly tired. Sometimes that's just what it's going to be. We're going to be tired. My day started at 4 a.m. and it ended sometimes at midnight. And that was sort of like my Monday through Friday. I had client notes I had to do, homework I had to do, class I had to attend. So it was just, and I was just tired. And so if you find yourself really, really tired, you could be surviving and not thriving. It could look like every day there's really no real joy to your life. Like, you're just going through the motions. Yeah, it might be points in the day where you find yourself smiling or laughing, but there's no real joy for your life. And the biggest one that you're just surviving is you have no time for yourself. When I tell you I had no time for myself, I did not. I wasn't able to, I stopped working out. I wasn't meal prepping like I was doing before. I just wasn't taking care of myself. And again, if you're not taking care of yourself, then you're going to be fatigued and then not going to have joy. So then you kind of see this surviving mentality. It affects every aspect of life. And as you guys saw, many of you have been following me for a little bit. This year, I just kind of took a really long break on social media. I was on social media here and there, but I was not on social media like I was before, because I was like, I need a break. I need to just clear my mind. I need to concentrate on what I need to concentrate on, which at the time was school, work and my kids. And I was like, I just don't have the time for anything else. And so I took a break from that. And it was hard because social media has become a lot of our lives. And so it looked like to everyone else, it's like, wow, how are you managing all of this? How are you maintaining all of this? And I was in survival mode. I just knew I had to pass this graduate program. I have to keep working to support my family, and I have to be a mom to my kids. Like there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's just what I had to do. And so I was in survival mode. And now that we have looked at what is surviving, like what does that look like? And again, what does that look like for you? Does my survival look like your survival? Some of it might, some of it might not. So now that we've realized what is surviving, let's look at what is the cost when we stay in survival mode. One of the biggest things is irritability and anxiety. Like you're constantly on edge because you're not taking care of yourself. You're on the go, 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 go. You don't know, you just go every day without realizing that you're doing the same things every single day. And so anxiety, fatigue, burnout. I cannot tell you how many, it wasn't a lot because I was in survival mode, but there was times when I would just take a nap. Anybody that knows me knows I'm not a nap person because I can't power naps, as my husband calls it. There's no such thing for me. I need to sleep. But I found myself taking naps and I could not help it. I literally was just like, I can't, my eyes won't stay open. My body is it's telling me, ma'am, I need to sleep. And so I was burnt out. And luckily my husband was here to help with the kids. But I would tell him, I'm like, babe, I'm tired. I don't know what it is. He was like, babe, you haven't rested. You've been going. I'm like, I know, but that's just what I'm used to. And our bodies are constantly like in this go state. And so finally your body's like, okay, this is just a little bit too much for me. I just need to rest. And so I found myself taking naps. I would say probably once a month or every couple months, I just found myself taking a nap. And sometimes the naps were like 2-3 hours because and I'd wake up and I'd be like, man, like I don't even remember falling asleep. And then also, the cost is like, you got to look at what it's costing you, not just for yourself, but those around you. So for my kids, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with them because I had clients Tuesday through Saturday. I had class on Mondays. I had work Monday through Friday. And then I had assignments and papers and all this other stuff to do. And so every day, my kids are like, hey, mom, do you have a client today? I'm like, yes, I do. And they're like, oh, can we do this? Like even my weekends, my Saturday was my busiest day with clients. And my whole Saturday was dedicated to clients. And so for the last about year, I didn't have a Saturday. And so my kids weren't getting any of my time. And I really started to notice that like they were getting sad. And so that was the biggest impact, I think, for me was on my kids. Granted, they've been used to that. Some of them have been used to that before because when I was in the military, I was in basic training. I was in AIT. I was in the field. And so, it's not something that they're not used to, but no kid wants to be without their mom when their mom is actually in the house. Or their dad that's in the house, but they're not present. Like I said, my health, I was finding myself sleepy. I didn't get to work out like I needed to actually at all. I stopped working out and I became even more stationary because driving to work for an hour, then sitting at a desk job for 8 hours. Granted, I'd get up periodically here and there. Then driving home an hour. Then I had class and my classes were 2 hours each and I had it all on the same day. So that's 4 hours of classes of sitting. And then I had therapy clients and most of them are telehealth. So sitting. So I legit was even more stationary than I was before, which again, I find myself having issues with my hips. I already have issues for my hips from the military, but I find like my muscles are stiff. I'm not as flexible. Like my back hurts a lot more. And even though I knew that this was affecting me, I still knew that I didn't have a choice but to keep pushing through. How many of you guys tell yourself, I have to keep pushing through. I just have to get through this. I just have to get through that. And if you don't realize it, before you know it, you're hopping from thing to thing to thing that you got to get through, and you're not allowing yourself the break, which is, I'm extremely guilty of this. I'm someone that I like to keep my schedule busy. I like to always be on the go, but I am getting to a point in life where I also want to, I really want to enjoy my kids. My second one's about to go to college. I got three left in the house. And I want to be able to enjoy time with them. When school is out, I want to be able to spend time with them. I want to be able to, have that quality time and make memories with them, and not just always be working, not just always be on the go. So that is something I've definitely realized. But just surviving, if you look at all aspects of your life, your marriage, a parent, friendship, even my friends, we haven't really got to hang out, because I'm like, oh, I got a client tonight. Oh, I got class tonight. Oh, I got an assignment. And so I just found myself always having a reason why I couldn't hang out with my friends. And so now, I'm starting to get back to that. I wasn't checking in with friends. I was not a good friend at least for this year. I've had a couple people that have checked on me. Shout out to my girl, Shia. She is amazing. I love her. Even my coach, Latasha, I love her too. She was checking on me. Hey, haven't heard from you. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm still here. I'm just trying to get through. So, it's nice when you have those people checking on you. And so now we have looked at what surviving looks like. We have looked at what areas of life that just surviving affects. And again, it's all areas of your life, your health, your relationships, sometimes even your career, depending on what's going on. Luckily for me, it didn't affect my career, my job. I love my job. But other people, sometimes it affects even that area. And so now let's get to a mindset shift of going from I have to I get to. And again, they seem like very similar terms, but they're really not. And so for me, the last 3 years, I had to finish this course. I had to keep working. I had to, do all this stuff. And now I'm at a point where I am shifting my mindset from I have to I get to. And what does that kind of look like? So for me, now that I've graduated, I'm starting an onboarding process to be able to work as a therapist. And I'm excited because now I'm getting to help other people get unstuck. Obviously, in the therapy setting, it'll be diagnosing people, helping them get through the daily battles that a lot of us go through. And also getting into just coaching as a whole. And I am excited about helping other people holistically, helping them in all areas of their life, to help them get to a more stable them, to get to a more happy them. And so for me, it's now I'm looking at doing things that I want to do and not so much have to do. I am getting to be a part of other people's lives by helping them in therapy sessions and coaching sessions. And, I've started looking at other areas. Like for me, one huge dream of mine since I was 5 years old, it's never changed, and I probably will have wished I could have always done it my whole life, is to be an OBGYN, to deliver babies all day. Because to me, to see life brought into the world, there is no better thing. Bringing my 5 children into the world was like just the most special thing ever. And to also be a part of that for other people, granted, I know there's not always a happy ending, but to be a part of that special moment is something I think like there's nothing better in the world. And so now I'm like, how can I still accomplish that dream, but in a different way? And so for me, what that looks like is what I'm looking into now is getting into doula certification. It's much less. I think it's like some programs are like a couple weeks to like maybe a couple months, depending on how you do it. But getting the opportunity to be able to do that. And so now I'm looking at things that I want to do, that I'm going to have the ability to do, get to do, not have to do. I am now looking at things that I want to do. And so for you, it's how can you look at your vision? Like, how now can you bring what you're dreaming about to life? Because how can you know what to strive for if you don't really know what it is you want? And that could look like if you're writing down visions, values, priorities, goals. I've never been someone that writes things down. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, oh, it's in my brain, I'm going to remember it. And then I realized, like, as I started getting busier and busier, I'm like, if it's not written down, it's not happening. And so, like, there's the reason when you see vision boards, when you see, you got to write things down, there's a reason. Because when you write it down, you can see now every day what it is that you're striving to achieve. What is it? Where are you striving to go? And I do that now. I write down things like in my office. I'm not in my office now, but in my office, I have like 6 whiteboards. And so now I wasn't using it when I was in school because it was just, I was on a set routine. But, now my goals and visions and values, I'm going to write them down so I can see them, so I can make sure that what my purpose is and what I'm meant to be doing, I am doing things every day to get there. And so for you, writing things down, telling friends and family so then they can help keep you accountable. But again, you have to change your mindset and not just focus on things that you have to do. But now let's change your saying from, man, I have to do this, to, man, I get to do this. And it might take a little bit of time. It's taken me quite a bit of time to get here. But again, I didn't have anybody guiding me. I've been doing this all by myself up until probably about 3 years ago. I've been winging it. My undergrad degree, I didn't get any help with it. I was just figuring things out as I went along. But there's so much for us out there now to help us shorten the time it takes for us to get places. And I'm still young. I still have a lot of things that I can accomplish that I do plan to accomplish. But I know what my goals are and I know who it is that I want to help. And so now I'm working every day towards that. Like I said, I'm getting to do a CPR class this weekend, actually tomorrow, because that's one of the requirements as a therapist is to be CPR certified. I've never been CPR certified, but it's crazy considering I have 5 kids and I've never been certified. But now it's giving me opportunities that I just felt like I didn't have the time for, didn't need, but now I see the value in a lot of things. But again, that came with help, that came with guidance, that came with mentorship, that came with coach, that came with a lot of things. And it came from me getting out of my own way. Because a lot of times, especially us as working professional moms, are always putting other people first because that's just our nature. But the saying, you cannot pour from an empty cup. And that is so true. My kids, my cup's been empty for a hot minute. And now I'm starting to recharge. And it feels amazing to just know that, hey, I'm not just on a quick break from school and I have to go back. Nope, I'm done for right now. And I say for right now because I will be applying for a doctorate program. But again, that's because I want to do research to kind of help a certain population that I'm looking at, because there's not a lot of research out there. But again, that's something that I want to do and that I feel that is a gap that we should not still have a gap in. So we've looked at what surviving is. We've looked at what that costs us. And we've looked at now how do we change from I have to I get to. So a mind shift changed. Now let's look at what does thriving look like for you? Because again, that's something different for everybody. For me, thriving means flexibility in my time. When you have kids, flexibility is so important. I need to be able to, if the school calls me for any reason, I need to be able to drop whatever I'm doing and go. I know I'm not always going to be able to do that, but that's what thriving looks like to me. Thriving looks like for me running my business how I want to run my business and being full-time 100% in my business as an entrepreneur. Thriving for me looks like when school's on break, we go on vacation with the kids. It doesn't have to be some extravagant place. It could just be a staycation. But every school break that they have, going on vacation, giving my kids memories and experiences that they will want to give their children and their future families. And at the same time, it also looks like being able to take breaks when I need and or want them. That is one thing I learned from my coach, Latasha. She takes her breaks. Granted, she grinded super hard to get to this point, but she will take breaks for months at a time. But she's strategic with it and knows when it's the right time for her to take breaks. But that's what I want to do. I want to be able to be like, pause. I want to slow down, enjoy life, and enjoy my kids, and enjoy just being present. So that's what thriving looks like for me. Slowing down when I want to and taking those breaks and vacations when I want to. Having the flexibility in my time if my kids need me for whatever reason. Working full time in my business as an entrepreneur. And just having time for myself is the biggest thing. And I think that's one of the hardest things, is the self-care, because especially for me, I'm speaking from a professional working mom. We look at it as being selfish. We look at, hey, if we take time for ourselves, man, I could be doing this. I could be doing this with my kids. I could be spending time with my kids. And instead of looking at self-care as a requirement, we look at it as us being selfish. And it is far from being selfish. It really is. And we have to get out of that mindset of thinking that self-care means selfish, because it doesn't. It really doesn't. Us moms, we go. Our minds are always going. We are, when the babies are born, we're the ones that, for the most part, get up. We're breastfeeding, changing diapers, getting no sleep. We're the ones that have to take the leave. And then that just becomes a norm for us. And so it's taking me 5 kids. But my oldest is 21 and my youngest is 4, about to be 5. But it's taken me some time to get here to understand that it is not selfish, that it is okay to take time for us. And so again, my coach does it. She has scheduled facials. I'm like, I've had a facial, I think, once or twice in my life, but that's what thriving would look like for me, is having scheduled things that I have monthly, bi-weekly, whatever it is I choose to have it, but being able to do that. And I'm excited to be able to get to that point, working towards that point, and having a comfortable life for me and my kids. The goal is always to be better. My goal is always to have a better life than I grew up in. And my other goal is to have my kids have an even better life than me. That's my goal. And not just me, but other people that are connected to me and around me, is my goal, is to help others thrive and succeed and not have the victim mentality, but instead have the victor mentality. So that's 4 out of the 5. So what is surviving? What has that costed you? How to shift your mindset from have to get to, and then figuring out what does thriving look like for you. And so I think the last thing I'll talk about is the small habits that you can start creating in your life that will help you get to that thriving life. Some examples, and it doesn't have to be anything major. It could be in the morning. You wake up 10 minutes earlier than normal, and you create a self-care regimen for that 10 minutes. It could be washing your face. It could be having coffee and reading a gratitude book. It could be journaling. It could be anything that you want within that 10 minutes. It could just be for you to be able to, if you're a working professional mom like me, quiet time is almost non-existent. That could look like you being in your living room, sitting in the silence and preparing your mind for the day. Mindfulness techniques. That's a big thing that we do in therapy, is mindfulness. But that could look like you just doing mindfulness techniques in the morning, getting you prepared for the day. But again, 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be anything big. It doesn't have to be anything long. It's just helping you prepare for the day. That could look like boundaries. That is one thing a lot of us have problems with, is creating boundaries, professionally and personally. For me, when I had therapy clients, I told them, I said, I only work until this time. If you text me at night, I will text you the next day. There was one time when I took a client on a non-scheduled time, but creating those boundaries is so important, because sometimes we blur the lines, and then before we know it, we are just going outside the lines. Where I was working on the weekends, working at nights, and then you find yourself, wow, how did I get here? And those boundaries could look like time boundaries. It could look like boundaries for yourself, your children, whatever boundaries looks like for you. But changing habits small, it's just like that book, Atomic Habits. Changing it a little by little, and then you start building upon it. Before you know it, you are now walking into the life that you want. And so for me, that's boundaries. That's going to be boundaries. This new season, I won't be working on weekends, just because I haven't had weekends in so long, and my kids deserve to have weekends. For me, that's going to be, that's, I think, my biggest thing is just being able to have boundaries with my time. With clients, I'm going to have set times with my clients, with coaching and therapy clients. This is the time that you're going to be able to get a hold of me, and unless it's an emergency, which, sometimes as a therapy client, I may have a client in crisis. That will be a different scenario. But coaching clients, there should be no emergency situation where you need to contact me outside of regular business hours. But having small habits that you change and create every day is going to be the biggest thing that helps you. Consistency is key. And I promise you, it's the biggest thing that will make the change in your life. You have to be consistent. It's just like working out. If you're not consistent working out, you're not going to see the change. If you're not consistent with your eating, you're not going to see the change. And it doesn't happen overnight, and you have to be okay with that. It's taking me a long time to work through, childhood traumas. It's taking me time to work through interpersonal issues that I had. But I'm finally getting to a point where I'm happy with me. I'm happy in my skin. I'm happy with where my life is. Is it exactly where I want it to be? Absolutely not. But if I look at my life now as an adult, and my life as a child, my life as a teenager, and my life as an early adult, my life is substantially better. Substantially better. I make a healthy 6 figures. I bought my 3rd house. All my kids are healthy. Got 2 in college. I don't have as much time as I would like, but I've never been in a position financially, I think personally and professionally, as I am now. And that took time and effort, and it took small habits, changing small things every single day, and making those decisions and sticking with them. But again, you have to want to make the change. You have to really, really see your dream life. And that's one of the things that is so funny, because life and therapy are very similar. One of the things we talk about in therapy, we ask the miracle question. What would your life look like if? And a lot of times we say, if you didn't have this mental health disorder, what would your life look like? And so we ask that miracle question. And so, I realize a lot of the things I do with my therapy clients, I'll be doing with my coaching clients, because it's the same thing. And they go hand in hand. Like, what do you want your life to look like? And, and the other question I want to ask, this is kind of off topic, but how many of you are actually afraid to be happy? Or how many of you sabotage yourself because you don't really know what happy would look like for you? So many of us are in survival mode almost our whole life that we don't even know what it means to truly be happy. What does that mean? And it sounds silly. How can someone be scared of happiness? But if you've never been happy, how would you not be scared? Or even if you have been happy and something happened in life and you haven't been happy since, now you're scared to be happy again because you're afraid something's going to happen to that happiness. So that's one, I think, the biggest question to ask yourself, anybody, professionally or personally. When was the last time you thought about happiness? Are you really ready for happiness? Are you really ready for that life? And if so, what does that happy life look like for you? And I think a lot of us don't ask that simple question. And you'd be surprised if you really sit and think with it. Are you scared of being happy? Do you know what happy looks like for you? Because again, everybody's happy is different. My happy, man, let me tell you, I would love to be in Fiji, Bora Bora, Maldives, Santorini, Greece. Like, I know what happy looks like for me, but it took me a minute to get here because I was scared of happiness. Because listen, I didn't have the roughest childhood, but I did not have a great childhood. And so I thought I was cursed to repeat how I grew up, because a lot of us get stuck in generational curses. If y'all didn't know that, that's a real thing. If you look at your family and you look at just generations, we all end up doing the same thing. And so I thought I was destined to grow up poor. I thought my kids were not going to have what they needed. I thought that I was going to be living paycheck to paycheck, living at or below poverty level. I thought that's what I was meant to do. And let me tell you, people would tell me, you not going to amount to nothing in life. And guess what? If I listened to these people, I would not be where I am today. But again, you have to ask yourself, are you scared of being happy? What does happy look like for you? Like, it's a simple question, but you'd be surprised how many people either never thought about it or are scared of it and have never really said it. So it's simple, like, but this program and just self-work on myself has really helped me get to the point of realizing some very simple things that are not so simple when you really sit and think with it. And so those are sort of the 5 things that you are going to have to do to help you get from surviving to thriving. Because life is not meant to be surviving. We are meant to thrive. There's just so much more that's just depths that go into this. But I think it's important for us to have these conversations. I'm really excited. So, in the comments, tell me which of these 5 things resonated with you. What is something that you didn't think about? What is your story? Where are you in your journey? Are you in the surviving? Are you in the thriving? Or are you in the in-between where you're working towards the thriving portion of your life? Let's start having these conversations, y'all. And I'm gonna start being consistent. Like I said, I'm now in a position where I'm going to be coming on live more. I'm going to be dropping, tidbits, tips, tricks. So make sure, if you're not following me, make sure you follow me. I still have room on friends list, friend me, but make sure you're following my page. I will be coming on here quite a few times a week, and really just opening up these conversations for us to start thinking, for us to start understanding that we can be of assistance to each other. We can help each other. Social media is not just for a lot of the negativity that you see. Social media can be an amazing tool if we use it like that. So just put it in the comments what resonated with you. What are maybe something that you that you think can help other people go from surviving to thriving. Let's really open up this dialogue. Let's keep this going. Let's help other people see this so then they can start making changes in their life. Let's start being a positive influence, a positive role model to our family, to our friends, and to those that see us every day. So let's have these conversations, y'all. Let's keep it going. So again, I appreciate you guys sticking with me today. But just comment, follow me, and I am really excited about getting back in the grind, back on here, and not this elusive person that people see every once in a blue moon. I am back in full force, and I'm super, super excited, y'all. But I'm about to go off and celebrate my baby boy, my love bug's 8th birthday. About to keep celebrating, take him to the park, thriving. It's a Friday, and I'm not working today. And I'm spending time with my family. I just hopped on here real quick because we just came back from eating. So we don't want to, go to the park after eating. But thriving, y'all, this is what it looks like. And I hope you guys are ready to move from surviving to thriving. Because I'm ready to help you. I'm ready to be the inspiration for y'all to just kick it into gear, y'all. It's summertime. This is when we should be out on the beach. Spending time on or the mountains if you like it. Out hiking, festivals, whatever it looks like for you. But it's a beautiful day outside. It's like 85 degrees, sunny, ain't no rain finally. But this is thriving. This is thriving for me, y'all. And I'm super excited to be back. But you guys have an amazing, amazing weekend. And don't forget, make sure that you comment what resonated with you, which of the 5 you feel like you need help with, or even give a tip to someone else that you think out of these 5, there's something else that you're like, oh, I really think this can help people, shift from surviving to thriving. Let's keep this conversation going, y'all. But have an amazing weekend, and I will see y'all later.